friends, my name is Doreen Foxwell. Welcome to today's Kids Yoga Meets Astrology. I come to you today in front of a giant crystal grid that I set up for this morning's new moon. You see, new moons and full moons happen every month, and they are halfway between each other, or every 14 days. One comes and then the other. And right now, we are in the energy of the Gemini new moon in Western astrology, or what we use out here in the United States. I'm going to talk about the Gemini new moon in this. And I've set up an entire crystal grid on the Gemini new moon. What I did differently this time is I included what I call oracle cards. They're well known to many people in the New Age world. Oracle cards relate more to angel type cards versus tarot cards. And I personally prefer oracle cards because I find the angels' energy is a lot gentler than tarot energy. Tarot is based on much tradition, and it kind of goes back through medieval times. And so a lot of that artwork and a lot of tarot is based on that. So personally for me, I prefer using angelic type cards. And I have crystals mixed in. I'm using a brand new oracle card deck by Kyle Gray, who happens to be my favorite author, who I've studied with for a couple years now and continue to study with. And he came out with a brand new deck called the 22 Archangel Oracle Cards. And they are surrounding my entire crystal grid. I was purposeful about doing this because the Gemini new moon that we are currently in the energy of right now is all about kind of relationships. And I thought, what a better way to bring in and kind of charge we call it charging a new deck, charge my new deck, than having them all out around the crystals of the new moon. I also have a couple of Yasmin Boland's Moonology deck cards in the very middle. Those are separate. And she does beautiful card decks on the moon. So if you want to know more about a full moon, a new moon, all different types of moons, her decks and books are wonderful on the subject. And so I've pulled everything having to do with hers with a new moon in Gemini. And the crystals are relating to the new moon in Gemini because it's a dark moon. It's completely black. You will not see this moon. You could not see it last night, completely dark. It will be completely dark tonight because the sun is not reflecting on the moon right now. But the energy is, and it can be felt, and it was felt a lot yesterday when I was in classes and I was teaching school age groups, and boy do they feel this energy because they were very, 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 very chatty and very silly and very loud. And that's Gemini. Gemini loves being around people. They are what's called an air sign. Their element is air. They love to talk. They love to ask a lot of questions. So that's the kind of energy we just are going into right now. And it's a great energy to harness because it's a great way to communicate with your children. And sometimes when the children become teenagers, and especially older teenagers, they don't want to communicate with you. But this energy might put them in that mindset to communicate what's going on with their friendships in their lives right now in this Gemini energy. So I hope you take this opportunity, and I invite you to talk to your children and listen. Talk and listen. But the other thing you need to know about Gemini, it's what's known as the twins. It's the zodiac sign of the twins, of duality. Everything has opposites. The moon is the opposite of the sun. And that's why we go from full moon to new moon. And we have all the moons in between. Until they become opposite or back together, and opposite and back together because they travel or orbit, the sun doesn't. The sun doesn't orbit, but the moon and Earth, we orbit around it. And so that creates all the movement between the sun lining up or being side by side with the moon, which is pretty much what it is right now, which is why we can't see the moon yesterday or today, and then it all comes apart, and then they come back together. And so that's a little bit about that energy. But Geminis are very intelligent and intellectual, you would call them. And Geminis are the type of sign you would want to be around if you are not the quiet and shy type. If you're the quiet and shy type, you might be in the corner watching a Gemini, because they will just blitz around, and they're just great communicators. And so all of you air signs, which include Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra, this is your time. You are affected more by this type of energy. It's a great time. So I hope that you have a very happy new moon today in Gemini. Namaste. Have a great yoga day. My name again was Doreen Foxwell, and I will see you next time.